Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to a brand new video. It's coming from the Apori Institute, and as some of you guys may know, here recently on June 30th, it was Thomas Sowell's birthday, and as a contributing factor, I'm doing a reaction-commentary video on his little debate that he had with Joe Biden years ago. Now, with that being said, everything you need to know is linked in the description, and here is the video. Oh yeah, here's the video, so let's go ahead and get to it.
Let me ask you a couple questions. You think judicial activism, doctor, has hurt blacks. Judicial activism of eliminating restrictive covenants in deeds, eliminating segregation in schools, one man, one vote, literacy test. Do you consider those judicially active?
Well, as regards restrictive covenants, I can see no evidence that they did anything other than make some people feel good because it was symbolic. As regards desegregation of the school system, that should have been done long before and on a much more sound basis. I've gone into this at great length in previous writings.
But are they?
No. You see, the problem is not whether you believe that school desegregation should have ended. I believe it should have ended long before. George Bork believes it should have ended long before. What he and what I have objected to are the principles used in that decision, because those principles take on a life of their own, and they come back to haunt you in other areas. Obviously, this old phrase, hard cases make bad law, derived from that fact. You dream up a principle to reach this result, and then the principle has a life of its own.
So the principle of desegregating the schools.
No, that wasn't the principle. The principle was the reason that they picked for it. Well,
that's all I'm saying. Okay, the reasons they picked.
Yes.
Desegregating the schools, you and Judge Bork agree were the wrong principles, and they should have not. So the court shouldn't have done that.
No, the court should have done it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what's important here, what Thomas Sowell is getting at, is the idea, reasons why we're doing certain things in law, right? It's not the fact that we did certain things, but the reasons underlying why. Because if we use the why in this case, let's think of something. If we say that making one group better off, feeling good in comparison to the other group because they were historically discriminated, etc., instead of saying, okay, these two people, different types of people, are both human, deserve individual rights, have individual rights, therefore we're going to make laws on the basis of individual rights. But if it's something other than individual rights, then applying that criteria other than individual rights can affect some other places in law if we're applying that principle consistently. This is what Thomas Sowell is getting. And because we have the status quo has came up with so many reasons and principles that's not being applied consistently, that's other than individual rights, and it's all scattered. We don't have a universal standard or anything. This is why we have so many laws that contradict one another, that goes against what they consider the common good, even though they consider it the common good. There's many problems with this, and this is what Thomas Sowell is outlining right now.
Okay. Both of us have said the court should have done it.
I see.
And in my case, and I think in his case, the court should have done it a lot sooner.
How?
They should have ruled that it wasn't equal protection of the law, because nobody in his right mind believes that there was equal protection of the law in the Jim Crow era of these schools.
Absolutely.
I'm just trying to figure out what you're saying.
Yes.
Now, when they desegregated the D.C. schools, it's clear the 14th Amendment does not apply. Everyone agrees that the 14th Amendment does not apply to the District of Columbia. How would they have done it in the District of Columbia? Should they have just let it stand in the District of Columbia? Segregation?
No, in fact, Senator, it's interesting that you say that, because I've gotten the first thing I ever wrote on a public issue was in November 13th, 1950, in the Washington Star, in which I argued for the desegregation of the D.C. school system. So that
on what principle?
I had not studied nearly as much then as I have 37 years later, and so I hadn't worked it out. Nor do I think that I would want to work it out on the run in front of a large group of lawyers at this very moment in the time that's available. Well,
how about literacy test? Was it judicial?
I see no reason why people shouldn't be literate in order to vote. The question is, if you have a black who comes in with his degree from Harvard, and the man behind the desk says, no, you're not literate, you can't vote, then this is what bothers me. People are talking about how judges should be sensitive to this particular group or that particular group. And if that means anything, if it means he's applying the law differently, that's precisely how blacks were held down for generations in the South.
I see. So
by
literacy
applying the law differently.
So literacy test, as long as they were equally applied, are all right.
Sure.
So I thought you thought. Now, I also want to clarify, I gather from your comments about MIT and Harvard that you don't think there's enough blacks out there who are qualified to fill the number of vacancies allotted for them in those schools. Is that right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the word qualifies really is misleading.
Well,
the question is whether or not they are like the other students at Harvard and MIT.
Well, okay. Oh, so there's not...
So they may be perfectly qualified. The same student might go through, God help us, I hope there's nobody here from Illinois, Illinois Institute of Technology and do well. But there's no reason why he should fail at MIT. There's no prestige in flunking out of the Ivy League.
I got it. So, but my point is, you believe there are not enough black women and men out there that are the same as white women and men to be able to go through Harvard and MIT.
If there were, it would mean that the whole history of oppression had done no harm whatever.
Well, so the answer is you don't think there are. I just want to figure out what you're saying.
It's not a question of what I think. It's a factual matter.
So factually, you're saying factually there are not enough.
Factually, this study's already been done by Clickguard at Harvard, and the figures are all there. Anyone can look them up.
Okay, no, I just want to hear from you. I want to know what you're thinking. Have you read all of Judge Bork's cases or any of them? Have you read all of his writings?
I haven't read all of them, but I've been reading them for more than 20 years because I used to teach antitrust economics.
Now, are you part of what they call the law and economics school? You know that.
By the way, if you want a little information on antitrust, then I suggest you watching our recent video that we uploaded about Facebook that goes over antitrust. Just a little bit philosophy in there. So.
Would you consider yourself part of that school? There's nothing wrong with that. It's not a bad school. I just wondered where you are.
When I sit down to write, Senator, I don't ask what my label is. I don't check my identification tag to see what I am. But I did. One of my books did win a prize as the best book in law and economics in 1980.
Yeah, no, but I mean, there's almost a term of art out there called the School of Law and Economics. Yes. And are you part of that school intellectually? That's all I'm trying to get.
I'm very much interested in the application of economic principles in the law and vice versa.
All right. Now, my time's up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, I do disagree with Thomas Sowell in this regard, in the sense of applying economics to law. I think philosophy needs to be applied to law. Ethics needs to be applied to law. And without just giving a whole entire dissertation of how to do that, I think what's most important is individual rights, making sure that the law is equal, on the basis that every single person, we recognize that they're human, they have individual rights, and we don't compromise on that principle as such. No one can run around and initiate force against one another, and that's that. The proper role of government is to ensure the conditions in which people can be moral, and if people choose to be immoral without inflicting on someone else's rights, then they have every single right to do so. That's their lives, and they face the consequences of their own actions. But that's the most important thing that I personally want out of a government and a proper government. But with that being said, happy birthday, Thomas Sowell, even though it's a bit late. This video is coming out a bit late, but absolutely happy birthday. He's 91 years old, for the people who are unaware of him. Great economist. There's very minimal things that I do disagree about with him. But overall, I got 2 of his books behind me. I got more books outside of this room and stuff like that. I read a lot of Thomas Sowell, and I hope to even read more. Because there's still a lot of content from this guy I haven't even read yet. So with that being said, this has been Cutaway from the Apori Institute, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace.